Well, apparently this year is often explosive reading year because today I'm going to review The Last Contract of Isako by Fonda Lee. So yeah, hi everyone, Petrik here. In today's video, as I mentioned, I'll be doing a spoiler-free book review of The Last Contract of Isako. As some of you might know, this book, The Last Contract of Isako, ever since its existence, ever since I knew about its existence, it has become one of my most anticipated books ever. And then this year, this book will finally be out in May 2026. So if you do not want to know anything about it, just make sure to pre-order and read this book when it's available for you to read. But if you want to know more about it, this review will be spoiler-free. So let's get things started immediately. So last year, as some of you might know, I found a grand total of 3 new 5-star books. And this year, it seems like things are going to be it seems like things are leading into a better direction because the first book I decided to read is The Last Contract of Isako by Fonda Lee. And it is not only one of the best standalone that I have ever read. I do think that as far as sci-fi goes, The Last Contract of Isako is indeed the best science fiction standalone novel I have ever read. Before this, the title belongs to The Vanished Birds by Simon Jimenez, and I think this one has managed to top The Vanished Birds for me. I absolutely love this one, although this shouldn't come as a surprise. I knew ever since its existence, when this arrived at my doorstep, this is the kind of book that will make me drop everything in my TBR pile and decide to read it immediately. How could I not? This is from Fonda Lee, the author of the Green Bone Saga, one of my favorite series of all time, and also the best trilogy that I have ever read, up there with the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. And I absolutely love The Last Contract of Isako as well. I mean, think about it this way. John Wick, in the world and setting similar to Blade Runner or Cyberpunk 2077, and then with a dash of Akira Kurosawa. It is basically Cyberpunk samurai in space written by Fonda Lee, and the result, it is absolutely compelling tour de force. I love this book very much. But if you are unfamiliar with the premise of this book, The Last Contract of Isako is a story about Isako, a battle-worn corporate samurai and legendary swordswoman who undertakes one last mission on a merciless planet named Aquilo, where death is always a mere breath away. Every legend must come to an end. When her longtime client unexpectedly retires, she plans to follow his footsteps by walking out into the frozen wasteland of their planet with her head held high, and her family enriched by her death. But when she's offered the final mission instead, she can't refuse, especially when she realizes who lies at the center of it all. Dragonfly Martin, her last and also worst apprentice, who somehow managed to make his way up to the top. As he's thrust into a world of corporate espionage and shadowy secrets, what Isako uncovers in her mission could forever change humanity's existence among the stars. I will elaborate upon the harshness of lives in Aquilo further later. But The Last Contract of Isako is not a big book. It is not, I think it is less than 200,000 words long, but the myriad of themes conveyed and also delivered wonderfully through the narrative in this book, it is absolutely incredible in my opinion. You have this theme of honor, justice, and also legacy, and also pretty much many themes that you can actually find in the Green Bone Saga, but told through a different lens and framing. And the result is still amazing. It is the meaning of our lives judged by the collection of deeds we have gathered, and is following the code established by a company, the best way to live our life. There are many things like this being asked and question to the readers for us to decide. According to Fonda Lee herself, this is the hardest book, the most difficult book that she has ever written. I selfishly and will actually beg Fonda Lee to write more books like this. And yeah, it is just so good. Science fiction, epic fantasy, urban fantasy, you know what? I don't care. It can be romance or romantasy. If it's written by Fonda Lee, I will read the book. It's that simple. I think she gets the formula. She gets what I like to read in my science fiction and fantasy novel. The murder mystery was interesting. Each page gets better and better, and then the actions, as you can probably expect from Fonda Lee's writing, is just so badass. But more importantly, the characters once again shine through the pages of this book. They burst out of the pages. You can definitely relate to these characters a lot. And this is something that I've been thinking of a lot lately. And I'm speaking about fantasy or sci-fi authors who can actually write characters that felt so real. Look here. if you are a fan of the Green Bone Saga, like me, maybe you are obsessed with the series, I think I can safely say that we became obsessed with the Green Bone Saga thanks to the characters, thanks to how well written the characters were. And I know that this is a subjective reading experience. Some can connect with the characters, some cannot. I can connect with the characters in the Green Bone Saga. I can talk hours or days about how much I love the world, the dialogues, the action. But at the end of the day, we became obsessed with the Green Bone Saga because of how much we connect with the characters and how real the characters in the Green Bone Saga felt. And in this one book, I think Fonda Lee managed to do that again with the characters in the Last Contract of Isako, whether it's Isako, Cobb, Dragonfly Martin, or maybe Sandbar Uchi and River Thea. All of these characters are more than meets the eye characters. It takes an incredible skill to write these multiple characters with their respective turmoil and also motivation on the level that is portrayed in the Last Contract of Isako, and to think that this is just a one-off standalone title. I have no doubt that old or new fans or readers to Fonda Lee's work will find themselves captivated by these characters. And again, once again, the dialogues here, they just triumphed over many battle scenes that I have ever read in other fantasy or science fiction novel. It is filled with intent and also hidden motivations that you can feel. And because of how much you connect with the characters, you can feel every feeling delivered through the dialogues by the characters. And one more thing here. Additionally, I've been thinking about aging and mortality lately. I hope that this doesn't become a grim discussion here, but I think ever since I became a parent to my newborn, it's just something that I've been thinking about, because we all have limited time in this world. This is just the reality. None of us are immortal, and we have to do the best we can with the limited time we have. That's also what makes life so precious, right? I'm going to assume that this is a normal thing to reflect when you become a parent. Heavier themes, heavier thinking on legacy, and also what to do to ensure our family have the best lives with the limited time we have. So my point is this: our thinking when we're in the middle of our 30s, or maybe compare this to the moment when we were young, well, our thinking will most likely differs. Maybe our mindset, some of them remain the same, but the circumstance of our life will influence our actions and also our decisions. That will happen. This is life after all. So my point is this: it's quite rare to actually read a character above 30 years old in science fiction or fantasy. The main characters is above 30 years old, like let's say Logan Nine Fingers in the Blade itself, the First Law trilogy, or maybe a Sigurd in the Divine City trilogy by Robert Jackson Bennett. This kind of main characters are rare, and if you are someone who are looking into, well, to get a perspective of a real adult, their age anyway, regarding personality, you have to decide for yourself here. But the Last Contract of Isako have that. With the exception of Dragonfly Martin, who is in his late 20s, most of the characters in the Last Contract of Isako are 50 years old or above. So Isako and all the other characters are pretty much a badass mother or father, or maybe old man or old woman. But yeah, this is something super refreshing in my reading experience, especially when I compare this to the many books that I have read in the genre. You just don't get characters that are above 30 years old as the main characters, especially 50 years old. So Isako and most of the characters here, they are seasoned warriors. Their priorities and the way they think differs a lot with Dragonfly Martin, who keeps on seeking finding ways to make a name for themselves. Well, for Isako and the other characters, they already have names to themselves, and well, they seek to repair the damage and the mistakes they have done in their past. They seek to leave a good legacy or make the world a better place for their loved ones. And lastly, before I end this review, for those who want to know more about this book, about the world building of this book, I will now elaborate on the world building further before I end this review. There will be no spoilers here, but if you want to jump into the Last Contract of Isako without knowing anything about the world, feel free to skip this section. The world of Akilo is brutal and dystopian. The setting in the Last Contract of Isako takes place on a planet cut off from communication with Earth for hundreds of years. This era of no communication is called the Great Silence. About 4 million people remain stranded in Aquilo. And to make things worse, cities on this planet need to be protected by a barrier called an air shield. This is essential to protect humanity from the vastness, a merciless frozen wasteland that dominates the planet. Through all of this, corporate overlords rise to take control of the planet. Isako is one of the A-tiers, the best of the best contractors with the code to serve is to live is to die, who receives contracts with rules established by the agency. The agency operates like the Continental House from John Wick. They are a sanctuary or location where the A-tiers are not allowed to hurt or kill each other. From the agency or directly from the directors, A-tiers can receive a contract to help their clients, including corporate overlords, execute what the contract demands. The utmost devotion to the code is the guiding compass of the A-tiers or contractors, and it is also their justification for killings and assassinations in the name of loyalty and the contract. The elite and the extremely wealthy, similar to many cyberpunk themes, also have the means to prolong their life by transferring their brain to another body. There is more to all of this, of course, and they were astonishingly delivered as efficiently and effectively as possible to the readers. I cannot imagine those who love reading cyberpunk disliking the setting of the Last Contract of Isako. If anything, I wanted even more out of this universe. I wanted more books. By the end of the last page, I felt like a curse and gift were both at the same time cast upon me. It is a gift to encounter standalone on this quality in the science fiction and also in the fantasy genre. You just don't get enough incredible one-off standalone, in my opinion. Anyway, most of the books are serious, especially in epic fantasy, and there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes I do love to read a one-off standalone, one-off and also satisfying, incredible standalone, and this is where The Last Contract of Isako comes in, a book like this. But the curse, you will probably cannot help to want more books out of this universe. That's how I feel right now. That's what I'm feeling right now about The Last Contract of Isako. So I guess the same thing actually happens with the Green Bone Saga as well. I was immensely satisfied with the ending of the Green Bone Saga, the main trilogy, but I will not complain about having more books or novellas in the universe of the Green Bone Saga. So the same thing is applicable to The Last Contract of Isako as well. If Fonda Lee decides to move on from this universe, that I will respect that decision. But if she decides to write more books or more stories in this universe as well, because this world is brimming with potential for a title, for a series of standalone novel, I will happily accept that as well. To wrap this review up, statistically, I do think that due to the huge number of books that I have read in the genre, it is starting to get more and more challenging to find books that absolutely compels me, absolutely immerse and compels me. But The Last Contract of Isako did that. Every time I'm not doing anything, I immediately want to jump into this book again to read it, even though life is incredibly busy for me right now. I find myself always thinking that, I want to read The Last Contract of Isako, please, free time, come to me immediately. And I get that. That feeling of always wanting to turn the pages of a story, of a book, is just hard to describe. I think it is one of the best things about reading. And yeah, although the year has just started, I do think that the resonating themes, the magnificent storyline, and also the superb characterizations and badass actions, and also imaginative world building in The Last Contract of Isako will shot this book by the end of the year to many people's list of best books of the year. Not only it is on mine, not only it will be on my list, The Last Contract of Isako is the best standalone sci-fi novel I have ever read to this day. This is cinematic cyberpunk samurai at its best. If you love John Wick, if you love Blade Runner and cyberpunk and also Akira Kurosawa, or you just love Fonda Lee's books, you have to read The Last Contract of Isako. It is indeed the must-read science fiction novel of the year. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. This is my full spoiler-free review for The Last Contract of Isako. Again, let me know whether you have actually pre-ordered this book or not, or whether you are looking into reading this book or not. And yeah, I do think that this book coming out in May is worth the read. I think many people will end up loving this one. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me today. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.